Last time we were talking, you were gung-ho by Kris.
I wasn't never gung-ho by nobody. I don't know Kris.
Okay. Last time we...
Hey guys, and welcome back to Little Black Book. You know what time it is. Talking to you guys about Ready to Love, Kris and Naya, and some of your comments that you left underneath our community page. Yes, you got involved and you left your comments and your 2 pence. And so we're going to read out a few of you guys' comments, have a bit of a laugh, have a bit of fun, and grab your popcorn. All right, guys, if you're new to the channel and you want to see more great content like this, make sure you like, share, subscribe, and click on that bell button for a notification of the uploads, baby. And for those of you returnees, well, you got the minerals. You got the minerals. Yeah. All right, cool. Let's get into the video. Let's get into some of the comments that you guys spoke about. So we had one from D. Allen Hay, and they said, if that was all it took for Naya to turn on him before approaching him for a deeper dialogue, Kris dodged a bullet. Now, if you didn't watch the episode 6, Ready to Love, Naya turned on Kris. She literally put the fangs out, man, turned vampire, sucked all the blood out of the boy. Okay, she went into the tavern with Tommy and the girls, and literally just finished Kris right there and then. You know, she said she ain't gone ho over that brother. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, chick was moving wildin'. Do you know what I mean? And so yes, you know, that's all it took for Naya to turn on him before approaching him for a deeper dialogue. Then Kris dodged a bullet. Yeah, I mean, if you know, in relationships, you want to be able to have a dialogue, and even if I don't want to be with you anymore, there is a level of maturity that comes when you're able to discuss how you felt. All right. Now, I've heard some rumors that, you know, she did it to get off the show. I don't care what you did to get off the show. Listen, you could have told them to vote you off. You didn't have to go that route. See, so going that route, yeah, was the less mature route for me. Right? She could have literally told the guys, listen, guys, I don't want to be here no more, because I heard that obviously maybe there's some contract disputes or whatever. Okay, tell them I don't want to be in the show no more. Yeah, and they don't want to let you off. Then tell the guys, vote me off. I don't want to be here. You understand? So yeah, you get me? All right, cool. So we have another comment from Desiree Antoinette, and she says, I'll be honest, if Naya goes home next week, I'm gonna laugh at her because she shouldn't have done Kris like that. Well, I mean, you know, I think, and again, we want to make this very clear. Everybody understands Naya's decision to not want to continue. We all understand it. Nobody was barraging her for having a preference. I've seen some of the comments below, and I'm like, some people are saying, oh, you know, no one should cuss. No, we're not talking about her preference to choose not to be with a guy. We have a preference to talk about how you deal with somebody, and how you deal with somebody indicates how you feel often, how talks a lot about your attitude towards other people. Now, if you think someone's below your feet and you talk to them like that, that says more about you and the way that you value other people and how you value yourself. Because on what scale are you measuring that you are better than somebody to talk to someone like that? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, she was jumping ship to Edwin. Like, bro, Edwin hadn't even said appropriately what you wanted to hear. You kind of force fed him to understand what you were saying about wanting a provider. So, you know, I get it. You know what I'm saying? Like, if she goes home, I think people are going to be like, you know, that's karma for you. You know what I'm saying? But like I said, there's a way to handle and a way to do things. All right, cool. We got from Penna. She says, I don't know why people are down on Naya. Kris said what his expectations were, and Naya didn't want to have to shoulder everything by herself, which is what usually happens when you get 50-50. Let's pause right here. I think this is what I've been talking about in my videos. Let's disclose what we mean. This is an assumption that he's saying that he wants 50-50. We don't know what he said. He just said fill in the gaps. Now, that could be 50-50. That could be 30. That could be 30-70. That could be 10-8-90. We don't really know. We just know that he said fill in the gaps. Okay. It didn't sound like he wants to be a provider, because he said obviously step back, etc., etc. So it doesn't sound like he wants to be the main provider. Not because he doesn't want to, but maybe because he. And the thing is, you have to listen to the wording. He said, I am not opposed to standing in the way. Basically, he's not opposed to standing in the way of a woman. He doesn't mind taking a step back because he was saying at the beginning, he assumed that she made more. So this was on the assumption that she made more. You understand? And so he was saying, I'm not here to be that kind of guy that is afraid to let you have the reins or have the stardom in a sense, right? And that means financially you may be in control, like you may have more finances. And so that's what he was saying. So it doesn't mean he was talking about 50-50. He was understanding position in relation to the woman that he was with. You get me? Then she says, Penel says, man, I just got that she was tired of men looking great, sounding great, but when it comes down to it, having no substance. Pause. What does it mean by not? See, let's not conflate issues. I've been dealing with this all like the past few weeks. When we have an argument or a debate, don't conflate the issue. The issue isn't substance. The issue is to do with his financial backing and what he said. Before the financial conversation was having, Kris was amazing. Yeah. So the argument isn't not how he behaves. It is his behavior towards an area of life, finance, in regards to Naya. That's the argument. It's got nothing to do with his substance. So, but I understand that she may have come across other women. Let's be honest. She might have come across other men who didn't have substance. Forget money. Who didn't have substance, but he did have substance. The way that he liked her and adored her, the way he was talking about her, the way he comforted her. You know, we saw that through the case of the show. But I also understand her position that she doesn't want to have to be the financial breadwinner. That's fine. I'm not with her on throwing herself at Edwin though. No ma'am. And she did come off a tad angry. If you're not feeling someone, just state your case quietly and then walk away. I appreciate that, Penna. I appreciate that. You're real spit. We had BW4C Poet. He said that she didn't do her research and every man is going to run into her pain until she unpacks that bag. Let me just pause there. You got me? So obviously, you know, I don't want to just talk about Naya because that's what I was trying to allude to. And Naya is a representation of how many women and men in this world. If you are got a pain that you're dealing with, you can be triggered to the point where now you're behaving erratically, because what we saw from Naya was an erratic behavior, meaning that the reaction was far more outweighing what was said and done to her. She was behaving as if my guy had really hurt her and did her damage. And again, I'm taking also into consideration that after I've heard a whisper in the wind that she wanted to get off the show, it still doesn't make a difference because your behavior here was towards a person. You spoke about another person. Do you understand? And so that's important to highlight. But I definitely hear what he's saying. You know, he goes on to say, once triggered, she went out of control, flight, freeze, or fight. Ready to love seems like ready to expose so you can deal with your issues to be closer to love. I saw several bags she needs to unpack before love. And that's the thing as well. Sometimes we don't even realize what demons or what, I shouldn't say demons, but what traumas we are holding until we enter into a relationship and someone exposes it, or we enter into a fray with somebody and someone exposes it. And then we realize, oh, actually, do you know what? My bad. That's mad. Yeah. That's crazy. Yeah, that was me. Like I didn't realize I had that to unpack. And sometimes we need that relationship to be able to establish that and get that understanding of ourselves. Appreciate that point. We have another one from Sing Pray Love. She says, man, I felt so bad for Kris. I saw his eyes looked utterly shocked that he was sent home, in addition to being treated so coldly by Naya. That's crazy as well, because in the last scene as well, like it had to be Joy who came out and said, listen. And again, this is what I'm talking about. Like when people talk about editing, I'm like, yeah, I hear you, but listen to what people are saying about the individual person. It almost comes with a Miles and Karen situation. Listen to what the person's actually saying. Joy's come out and said, you wouldn't want to talk to Naya. Oh, okay. So is that editing? I don't know. Is that editing? Because why is Joy coming out to say you wouldn't want to talk to Naya? Why is Joy saying that? Yeah. What's her need to come and say that? What editing has happened that she has to come and say that to Kris? Because something's obviously happened. Do you know what I'm saying? Now, whether she told the girls that's what she was playing for, I don't really know. But hey, maybe they're all just acting. I don't know. Anyway, it goes on to say, Singpray goes on to say, you can tell the miscarriages she have yet to be healed, and as a result, she assumes working equals stress, which equals another miscarriage. So her wanting a man to provide has more to do with her fear than it does to the gender role. Oh, good point. I love the way that you spun that, because we spoke about that in our review, but the way you've put it is quite important, that the focus isn't necessarily about a gender role, but it's more to do with the stress and the fear of being in a certain position. Because I'm assuming that she doesn't want to give up work completely for the rest of her life. She more than likely probably wants to give it up for a while so she can deliver safely, and then maybe when she feels ready, go back to work maybe in a year or two. But you're absolutely right. I think that's more focused on the fear rather than the actual gender role, which is a good point. I like that. That's a good point. And then you said, obviously, unfortunately, Kris was just being himself and answering accordingly. She doesn't realize the money conversations meant for a close, committed relationship, and should always be flexible as life and money are moving and liquid things. Guys, let me tell you something. Pause at this point. Let me tell you something. You guys need to join our Patreon, not even my one, Little Black Book, but you can join that too. Support us as well. But I want you guys, if you're invested in marriage, you're invested in long-lasting relationships, you're invested in seeing healthy relationships discussed and talk about real issues that happen in relationship, then you need to sign to the Patreon. The Marriage Council UK, the Marriage Council UK. Check the description, because right now I'm telling you, listen, we're about to launch some big things. We need about 100 subscribers. We need about 100 patrons, to come and jump on. I think that's a nice size of class, right? Because we're doing some real stuff around stuff like this. I'm talking about things that are heavy food, because when it comes to having healthy, long-lasting relationships, we need to be in conversations with people who are in those marriages that are showing us how to operate in a marriage. Not the marriage where they tell you I'm married and you never hear anything about their marriage, but people who've gone through stuff and are willing to share their experience. Let me tell you something. The Marriage Council UK. Please jump on it if you haven't done it already. Anyway, back to the thing. That was my little commercial. One day she could lose her job and would have no choice but to provide full support. One day she could lose her job and he would have no choice but to provide full support, but he wouldn't mind as he is the husband and partner to her, and vice versa. Most successful marriages are made up of people who work together and aren't caught up in roles and ego. Yeah, and this is the thing we're talking about. This is why I'm saying, like, guys, join the Marriage Council UK. But this is what we're talking about. Look, there is a lot of myths out there. There's a lot of things that watching people on television and the media and getting a picture in their head that every relationship is going to be the traditional. Don't get it twisted. A lot of people want the traditional roles, and that's fine. But the reality is, I keep saying this, the men that could pay for your whole entire existence are far and few in between. I want you to understand, like, I'm sure if you research how many people make enough money, to pay all the bills of them and their family. You know what I'm saying? In UK alone, I know already. I went around and I asked 6 or 7 people, that are married now. And I asked the guys specifically, guys, could you pay all the bills? If your wife decides she can't work right now, could you pay all the bills? Could you pay all the bills and be comfortable? And everybody said, listen, at the moment, you know what, I could pay all the bills. I just necessarily wouldn't be comfortable. I would be at a stretch. And some people said, oh, maybe after a few months they wouldn't have any money. It would be a hard road, right? Because the truth of the matter is, not everybody and not every man is making that kind of bread. So if you have it in your mind that I'm only going to date this type of guy, fine. You have no problems of having your standards. Just know the men are far and few in between. And just as you're going for that guy, there is another bag of gal going after that guy. But anyway, let us continue. Appreciate that, Sing, Pray, Love, for your comment. We had Lisa Quay. She said, Naya cut that thick stuff quick. It was shocking. However, part of me loved it. I mean, damn. I mean, she's a grown woman who ain't got time to go back and forth about a man and about her standards. A man should pay the mortgage. Heck, better yet, be the lead when it comes to the household finances. I don't know what's up with these modern men refusal to step in this road. How are you supposed to be the head of the house when you can't handle things at the money front? Hold on, let's pause here. So, paying everything, does that make you the household? This is where Christianity and reality meet. If we're saying, let's just take this road, head of the household, what does it say the head of the household it is? It's not necessarily that the head of the household is only because you made the money. For instance, if you stopped making money, if you fell sick, would you stop being the head of the household? So head of the household isn't money. The head of the household is position. And you've been given that position because it comes with a responsibility. responsibility. Now, in that responsibility, there is provision. Now, there are different levels of that provision because different men have different abilities of giving. Now, what I do agree with is that as a man, you should handle your business. Don't be lazy. Because the Bible says that Adam now would have to put his hand to the ground and toil. Okay, but what we do realize, and if y'all want to be quoting Proverbs 31, just to let you know, Proverbs 31, they were working. I'm just going. She went to the market in the morning. I don't know if you guys read that part of scripture, but anyway, so you know, a man should pay the mortgage. Where does it say that in the Bible? Where does that say that in the manual? You know what I'm saying? Like, I understand what you're saying, right? I understand that man should be a provider, okay? And let's be honest, the more that he can provide, the more the woman can rest in her femininity. Let's just be honest. Let's not play about. Let's be real. The more the man can provide, the more she can rest in her femininity, right? That's just 100% true. That's if she has that level of femininity where, and again, like I said, if a woman couldn't have and I'll put it as well, if a woman couldn't have a child, will she stop being feminine? Will she stop being a woman? No, you are not what you do. You are position. You are a woman or a male, and you are positioned that way because there's a role to fill. Yes, but understand it's a position that requires responsibility. You understand? So there are intersections. So I'm not saying it's not that you have to provide finance. Guys, let me tell you something. If you're a guy and you don't want to provide, I'm asking the question, why would you not want to provide? You know what I'm saying? Not just because you're a guy, but because you're a human being. Why would you not want to provide for your family? You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I mean, but I get, but again, I also understand this point very well that, you know, she put here, obviously, you know, a man should pay the mortgage. I think there is an idea that obviously if you pay the mortgage, you're handling your business. You know what I'm saying? And I do understand that culturally I understand different cultures. Heck, better yet, she says, be the lead when it comes to the household finances. Again, I want to make this very clear. You having more, and this is where men get, and this is why men start going into a frenzy. You having more doesn't mean you become automatically the leader. You see, if you earn more but don't know how to handle money, are you really the leader? No, you are run. The Bible says we should not be in debt, basically. Yeah, we should not be in debt, because what happens is when you become in debt, you are no longer in control. Well, guess what? If you don't know how to handle your finances, even if you made 100K and I made 50K, if you don't know how to handle your finances, you can make all the money in the world, but the money's been sunk somewhere else. So being a good steward, okay, is important. Plus, in a relationship, it's about making sure both of us are operating at our full maximum, which is meaning that, okay, within our roles, there's going to be a dynamicness, which is this. You may not be good at money handling. You may make more than me, but you don't know how to handle finances. What can I do? Okay, if I'm good at handling finances, let me take that off your shoulder. Yeah? If a man is good at cooking, does that make him the woman now? It doesn't mean that. See, so we have to learn how to operate, yes, in our roles, but also as well understand that, listen, whoever's the best person for the job, put them in that place. If that's what you're good at, why would I take you? Look, a good manager knows how to delegate. Why would I take you off the place where you work best at? If I can cook better than you, why am I asking you to cook for me if I can cook better than you? You feel me? Right? And it doesn't make me any less of a man, and doesn't make you any less of a woman if I decide I want to take over the cooking. But anyway, let's continue, okay? Let's continue. If you disagree, please comment in the comment section down below as well. Let's have more of a conversation, more of a dialogue as well. She goes and says, how are you supposed to be the head of the household when you can't handle things at the money front? Naya was playing, and I don't blame her. Probably been down that road before, and it was like, oh, heck no, I'm going down there again. She was a little hard with it. However, again, I don't blame her. And you know what? I do agree with this point, which is more than likely she's probably been down this road before. A man hasn't handled his business for her, and she's felt like, you know, she's handling everything. And that's stress, that's pain, that's 4 miscarriages she has to think about. It's traumatic, and it's probably raging in her mind. And I can understand why she would feel a certain type of way. Again, we are not disagreeing. We understand Naya's reaction. We just don't understand her reaction where she's tearing a man down. But anyway, cool. I appreciate that point. We've got another point from Nadette Rallyfoot. Says, a wise woman build up her home, but a foolish woman tears it down. I'm a 41-year-old woman, single, also had a miscarriage. Sorry to hear that. With a desire to be a mother, so I understand Naya's makeup. But where we differ is the pain and the disappointments of my past. I gave God the room to heal it all. Amen. I know that the need to heal from my past because I would have hindered me from the future God has for me. What Naya had in Kris is what every woman wanted at the resort. Kris only saw her and he invested in her, but she wasn't. Her dismissive behavior showed her true heart, and that is not nice. And later in the tavern, she was horrible because you could have still honored and respected him as a human being. I hear that. She is single because she's hurt, which hardened her heart, and a woman with a hardened heart is impossible to truly love. Actually, this is very true. It's actually in Proverbs. Anyway, my 40-something sisters heal. Let me say it. Say it again. Heal from your past. Allow God to work. Do the work. Get rid of the list, because that list puts God in a box. Trust God enough with your future. He will honor the diaries of your desires of your heart to come to pass. So when God presents his choice for you, you already have enough faith to receive him. Your man will not be present to you finished, so your faith will be necessary for you to build with this man. Nadette Rallyford. I appreciate that. You know, I mean, look, man, you know, none of us are finished articles, you know, and sometimes the list, look, when my missus met me, she said she had a list. I don't really have a problem with the list. Do you know what I'm saying? So long as the list is sensible and it's about your needs, not your wants. You guys know I've told about this before. If it's about your wants, tear up the list, because that list is an additional bonus. You understand? It is not what you essentially need. What you need is is like you're saying that I can't live without. I can't be without if I'm in a relationship like this. Yeah, him being 6 foot is not a need. It's a want. Yeah, him having dimples it's not a need. It's a want. Okay, him having a long schlong. It's not an essential, although you might want to consider that essential. But obviously, it's a want, not a need. Okay, it's a want, not a need. Anyway, Victoria Santiago says his first answer was his true answer, and he didn't want to pay 100% for everything. It is a good thing she found this out early. I hear that. Got another comment from Sunflower. Got last 2 comments. I understand Naya wanted a traditional provider, but I think she was a little harsh with how she dealt with Kris. Hear that? I mean, she didn't have to deny the man. They had an obvious connection. The honorable thing would have been to acknowledge the connection, but just admit you're not compatible on some essential things. I think all goes back to the emotional triggers, past traumas thing, because she had miscarriages. Any man that doesn't carry his weight financially is triggering to her, because she obviously needs to be taken care of and supported during those times. She was probably always forced to be superwoman instead of having an alpha that would take care of her in that way. So let me just pause there, guys, because there's some really good points that have been made here. Any man that doesn't carry his weight financially is triggering to her, because she obviously needs to be taken care of and supported during those times. So what I try to do when I'm doing, like, if you guys as well, if you want to do one-to-one coaching, guys, please shout me, hit my email at littleblackbook91@gmail.com. description box below, you'll have my email there. Get in contact with me. We do one-to-one coaching. It's not free, baby, but get in contact with me. And one of the things I talk to people about is the things that trigger us and the reason why it triggers us. So I often take people back to the place it started, because that's how you're going to overcome. I'm not going to tell you how to overcome. You are going to overcome, because you need to be, once you understand what's holding you back, you will have the answers. Do you know what I'm saying? You will have the answers. But once you've pinpointed it and you've realized where it is, then you can begin the process of healing and begin to step over those triggering things. So with Naya, if I was having one-on-one with her, I would have to take her back. Now we get it. Part of it is the 4 miscarriages, but there's a deeper underlying thought here as well, which is that whatever was happening at that time, and maybe even before then as well, money is a language to her in itself. When Kris spoke the language of money, she instantly turned off. Okay, so that sometimes that's a PTSD of the situation. Sometimes that's the trauma triggered now, but it's his language in itself, and the language spoken at that time has caused a reaction, negative one at that. And so you got to take that person back to that original start point of and be able to diagnose that, so that the reaction isn't going to be as volatile and violent as it was now, right? When I say violent, I don't mean that she should punch anybody, but just in the way that she dealt with the issue in the tavern, because she was so like dismissive, like, yeah, you know, instability did it, and I was like, whoa, like, sis, yo, man, you weren't long ago kissing this dude, like, do you know what I mean? And so yeah, that's an important point she made there about, you know, any man that doesn't carry his weight financially is triggering to her, because she obviously needs a man to take care of her and support during those times. You know what I'm saying? She was probably always forced to be a superwoman instead of having an alpha that will take care of her that way. And let me just be very frank as well. Alphas are, you see, alphas, yeah, alphas are, you know, I don't think a lot of people understand. Alphas, yeah, are not great at settling down. No. Let's be freaking real now. Alphas are not great at settling down. Why? Because everybody wants an alpha. Because the alpha, look, a beta can take care of his financial responsibility. Look, betas take care of their financial responsibility. They do. You know what I'm saying? Like, the alpha we're talking about here, yeah, the alpha is the one that is wanted by every woman. Is the one with the enigmatic, eccentric vibe. He's the one that when he walks in a room, every girl wants him. You understand? He's the one that when you walk past, he's got stardom in his eye. He's got stardom aura. Listen, oftentimes, them guys don't settle, bro. Them guys don't settle often, bro, because there's so many of the girls there who are wanting them, and vice versa for women too. There's so many girls that want him. Why would he settle? He will find it hard to settle because he's an alpha. So it's not necessarily you want an alpha. You just want a man that understands boundaries, that understands commitment, that understands his role, that understands his responsibility in your life. When I say role and responsibility, in your life and what you need, that's the kind of guy that you need. You know what I'm saying? Just wanted to clear that up. But I understand what she meant by the alpha stuff as well. Please, guys, alphas, they will ruin your life. Okay, it's understandable. It still upsets her. I just don't think she's reached total awareness to know that and still be gracious even when a guy unfortunately doesn't meet her standards. I don't see her and Eden working out, especially just because of the karma thing. Do unto others. I think it's going to come back on her a bit. Eden is obsessed with joy. Yeah, he is. I don't see him giving up that completely for Naya and her head massages. I appreciate something like, hey. Last comment here as well by TX. Hello, it's me you're looking for. That note was slightly off anyway. So TX Hello says Naya's behavior was disappointing. Kris just stated that what many people think of modern marriage is most families can't or do not want to live off one smaller income anyway. Let me just break this point here as well. If you are a man and if you're a woman, listen to this very carefully. If you say you want a man to provide, listen very well. You want a man to provide. Then when you're going for your mortgage, you go for a mortgage on his salary. You hear me? You go for a mortgage on his salary. You don't go for a mortgage then on both of your salaries. Because then you're saying, if you're talking about, I want a man to provide, and now you're going for a mortgage on both your salaries because you want a bigger house. Well, guess what? He's now not operating on his own level. He's operating on your level. Therefore, if you could join the application for the mortgage so you can get a bigger house, you can join paying the bills in the household. Did you believe it? Otherwise, do not complain when his 100k or 50k only gets a certain amount of for the household, right? Again, I'm telling you guys, go and research how much people make over 50k. Go and research how many people only make 100k. It tells about men. Go and find out. Yeah, I'm sure the stats are different to what we probably thought it was, right? So that's a good point. He makes a point here saying, unless the man makes 150k or more, Kris' statement didn't mean he didn't want to take responsibility for his family on one income. The family just might be living at a lower level. As a single woman of many years, I understand that a new husband may not be able to take on the travel and shopping habits. I would need to choose to live at a level he can provide or contribute so we can have a better house and do more. That's what I'm talking about, isn't it? Kris assumed most women would choose contributing. He said he is in radio for passion, not for a big check. Basically, Naya's real self came out. I've always disturbed when people can't continue to show respect just because you decide a person isn't someone you want to date. True. Be kind and actually be kind. Actually, she did choose Kris early on because of his local celebrity status, thinking it might be he made big money. Ooh, okay, we never thought about that. If so, Kris was blessed. She would be next to go home. She is Edwin's number 3, and he didn't seem impressed by her coming on strong so quickly. Appreciate TX, hello. So yeah, guys, that was the last comment. I've been speaking for time. It's now half an hour on these comments, but let us know what your thoughts are. I mean, I personally was just thinking that, hey, look, you know, I think these comments have been some good balance, you know, on both sides. But I want to just remind you guys, look, relationships take work, and you know, it's about sometimes if you're blessed enough to have a man, let me just say this for you. If you're blessed enough to find a man that can pay all the bills and you don't pay anything, more fire to you. God bless you. May you enjoy the rest of us, the rest of you, okay? It's okay if the guy can't pay everything else. And it's okay if you have to contribute a little bit, it's okay. You know what I'm saying? Yeah? I know you wish for having more. Listen, even biblical times, not every man was equal. How can Solomon have 700 wives? Because he can afford it. You cannot. It's that simple. He could afford it. It's not 700 gal because he's the finest babe in the land. No, he can afford 700 gal. You understand? So, because money was security. So, you know, understand that in this particular scenario that, hey, you know, every man cut their cake according to the, is it terms of the cloth? You know, the terms don't even come to me sweet like that. But anyway, guys, listen, I'm going to leave it there. Don't forget as well, guys, make sure you like, share, subscribe, click on the bell button for notification, but also do me a favor as well, okay? Go to our Patreon, go to the Marriage Council UK. If you're only if you're serious about long-lasting, healthy relationships, marriage, dealing with trauma within relationships, dealing with rejection, dealing with finances within marriage. If you want to know about them kind of things there, then go to the Marriage Council UK. I'm going to be handling the single stuff, so if you're about single life, want to know more about that kind of stuff, then you go and join that Patreon as well. You get me? But yeah, guys, make sure you like, share, subscribe, and you click on that bell button for notification of the uploads, baby. We appreciate you. Stay locked, stay loaded.